So when I reach at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get my records, the office staff, they're about to print the records for me, and all of a sudden they see this big giant statement. It's a defamatory statement at the front page of my records, and it's put there by Dr. Cochran, and Inova even admits to this fact in their court filing about this large defamatory statement. And I know why they admit to this this item, because they don't want any further inquiry into it. So what they're saying is the only person who saw the defamatory statement was Innova's own employee, the person working at the front desk, right? But what's interesting is they don't want to do the little investigation into exactly what was on that defamatory letter, because all I heard this person read out loud is, this patient has been dismissed from the practice because. But then she took like 5 minutes to read it, and she was going back and trying to understand it, and so many times she went back to the top trying to understand it. She only read that first part out loud, and the rest she was reading to herself, and she was trying to understand it, and she had a look of shock on her face, and all this Inova admitted. And now I figured out, without even getting the letter, once the sex angle came into it, I understood exactly what's on the letter. The letter, what I thought basically they wrote in the letter is that they're probably accused, making some false allegations that I was making threats against them or something, right? So, but then I thought about it, their office is literally like the Jerry Springer show going on there. Their patients and their doctors and their staffers, and I've even seen them duking it out with their Chinese food delivery guy one time. And then I also know that one of it shows on the internet, one of their employees is like a 45-year-old man, and on Valentine's Day, he went and set fire to his girlfriend's townhouse, right? So they have all kinds of people working there. So really, there shouldn't be anything shocking, and there shouldn't be any reason for this person to keep going back and trying to understand what's on the letter. But now I easily figured out what's on it. This pervert, Dr. Cochran, and I keep repeatedly calling him a pervert, and it shows up on the front pages of the internet. I label him a sex offender and a pervert. So this pervert, Dr. Cochran, I know exactly what he wrote. See, there are these kind of things people do either on their own or as consensual sex, where they do things like shutting, they like strangle themselves, so they strangle themselves and they shut off the blood to the head and so forth. Okay, and they do stuff like that. So that's what I then figured out, why this person who's like in her 50s, why she had the look of shock on her face, and she had to go back and understand the mechanics, because she's trying to make sense of the whole thing, because what Dr. Cochran wrote about me. So literally what Dr. Cochran is saying on the letter, which without even me having seen the letter, I figured out exactly what it's saying. That it's saying that I engaged in those things, and I actually hurt myself. Right. I actually shut off the oxygen to my own brain, and I actually harmed myself. Okay, so that's what this little prick, this little sex offender Cochran is saying. So that, and until I filed my case, and until I got a reply from Inova with that case, I would have never figured that out, because I was thinking, what is it that is so shocking to this front desk worker It's not only so shocking that she has to go back and read it over and over again, like she cannot comprehend it. I mean, why is it so incomprehensible? If it's just someone calling in and yelling threats and screaming and throwing things or even hitting them or whatever, it's not anything hard to understand. It's simple stuff, right? What was complex to understand is all these kind of strange sex acts and how a patient can hurt himself, by engaging in those things. So this motherfucker Cochran, literally, right? So that's what he wrote down, right? So anyway, and this all I find out later. And to cover that up, and also they were still, because on their electronic records, that thing would still spit out saying, even though they deleted the test, the order for the MRI test, the computer would still spit out a page where it showed that test was ordered and is outstanding. In fact, so what they did is they called their buddies at the Fairfax County government, right? So and what I say is the wrongdoing comes top down. It's not, they called their buddies at the Fairfax County government, and the Fairfax County government handed them the keys to the Fairfax County police. And even what Inova said is the three police officers who arrived, they arrived and appeared. They used the words, Inova used the words arrived and appeared. They could not say for any reason the officers came. The officers didn't have, what's called probable cause. So if you call the police have to come there for some reason, for some probable cause. But really, the officers actually arrived and appeared just like Inova said. And what I added is they arrived on a leash, that the Fairfax County government took the three officers and put them on a leash, and just like dogs, they were handed off to Inova and another direct servant of Dr. Cochran, a high-ranking Inova employee who's not a medical individual. Her name is Carol Jones, and Miss Carol Jones, she was the one who came with the leash and the three officers. And if I were doing anything wrong there, the officers should have come and spoken to me or whatever, right? But no, they all went to the back, far away from me. And in fact, when they came out with the records, and it had whiteout actually on the page number, that page number which was showing the order for the test. Okay, they didn't want to give me that page, so they took that page out, and then they put whiteout on all the other page numbers. And they're so dumb they couldn't figure out, because this person is so high up in Inova, and the police officers, I don't know what their problem is, they never learn how to use whiteout. You simply have to use whiteout and then make a photocopy, right? You get a nice clean copy. They couldn't figure it out, and even the Inova's office workers who were there obviously did not help them out, and they must have told them this is all unlawful, and that's why they cannot help them out, because otherwise, but they took 10 minutes back there just to make this whiteout work. And finally what they did is, since the whiteout wasn't working good, they stuck everything in the sealed envelope and they brought it out to me, right? But I asked Miss Jones to open it, and then it showed right up all the whiteout, and I even told the officer, hey, this is fraud, this is unlawful, right? But irregardless, and then I asked Miss Jones why the officers were there, and she said they're here for something in the back. And you know what? The only thing that happened in the back that afternoon is they put whiteout on the same records that pertain to the first degree sex assault, first degree assault, and all those other crimes, right? So if you're telling me the police officers were there for something in the back, what went on in the back is being an accessory to those crimes. And those police officers, they're accessories to those crimes. Those are felonies. Anyway, and then when I tried to inspect the record some more, the officer closest to me actually threatened arrest. Now he said, "You are this close to being arrested. I don't want to arrest anyone today." And that's definitely a threat of arrest. And then when I asked him, but I didn't do anything wrong. So then he said, or actually what I said is, on what charge? And then he said, and that officer had to pull something out of his butt, and he said trespassing. But I said, well, no one's told me I was unwelcome, and nobody asked me to leave. So then he said, I'm asking you to leave now. So obviously, if he's making a trespassing accusation, and he's only asking me to leave later, then it was never trespassing to begin with. And exactly what was going on is, the Fairfax County officers were supplied on a leash to help Inova and Dr. Cochran conceal these sex offense and these other violent felonies. And in fact, all these individuals, including the people right at the top of Fairfax County government who put these 3 dogs on leashes, I mean dogs meaning these officers on leashes, and handed them off to Inova, they're guilty of those crimes.